Hello and welcome to this week's lecture on international exchange. I'm Mike Wenz and I'll be walking you through the slides. There are three broad concepts that we're going to talk about in the context of international trade between nations. And the first one is international trade, which is the flows of goods and services across countries and between countries. The second is international capital flows, which is flows of assets, stocks and bonds and currency across countries. And then the third is exchange rates, which is the rates that we trade goods and services and foreign currencies for each other. We begin with some key definitions. The first one is the difference between a closed economy and an open economy. In a closed economy, all the trade happens within the boundaries of the countries. And in an open economy, countries trade with each other. There are various degrees of closed and openness. Some countries rely on an awful lot of their GDP to come from trade and international activities, and other countries rely on a small part of their trade and GDP to come from imports and exports. The next set of terms is exports and imports, which should be familiar by now. Exports are goods that are produced domestically and sold abroad, the things that we sell to other nations. Imports are things that other nations produce and sell to us, goods that are produced abroad and sold domestically. The difference between these two, exports minus imports, is what we call net exports, and this tells the amount of goods and services on net that a country sells to its partners abroad. If we export more than we import, we are said to have a trade surplus. We have more goods leaving, we're producing more for other countries than they are producing for us. If we have a trade deficit, as we typically do in the United States, imports exceed exports. We have more things coming in than we have going out. There are a number of factors that influence the amount of international trade that happens over a given period. The first thing to talk about is consumer preferences. When consumers have a taste for foreign goods, say imported Italian sports cars or something like that, then this will lead to increases in international trade. If we have, say, a Buy American campaign where tastes and preferences are for American goods, then consumer preferences will reduce the amount of international trade. The relative prices at home and abroad also influence international trade. When one country's prices are changing in different ways than another country's, then this can influence the amount of trade. Incomes at home and abroad. When a country is doing particularly well, this might influence their demand for goods and services generally, both produced domestically and produced abroad. So rising incomes at home relative to incomes in the rest of the world will tend to lead to more importing of goods than exporting. Exchange rates for foreign currency, that is when we change, when the amount of foreign currency we can obtain for a dollar changes, this influences our decisions to buy and sell domestic versus foreign goods. Sometimes the dollar is what we call stronger, that is you can buy more foreign currency with it, and when this is the case we will tend to import more goods. At other times the dollar is weaker, and this can lead to more exports. People can buy more of our goods for fewer units of the foreign currency. Transportation costs. We tend to trade more with the countries that we can ship in and out of at lower cost. Mexico and Canada, of course, we can trade at much lower cost than, say, Western Europe or Africa. And then finally, government policy can influence international trade. Governments work on trade agreements all the time, and taxes and tariffs matter, and import and export quotas and restrictions can affect the level of international trade between nations.